Alright, so it's Dead Cells time. I'm not going to be hacking my stats up this time around. We're gonna do a legit run. I'll just see what I can find, and then I'll go back to hacking. Yep. God, they did a wonderful thing with this, Oh! No, they did it right. Okay, yeah, it's been a little while, actually, since I last played this. And so it's actually, like, messing with my head. It's messing with my head a little bit on how to play. I just play too many, like, I played too many of these games, and after a while they kind of... It gets all the, like, controls messed up in my head. So, specifically, I was playing Momodora. When was it? I guess end of last week. Yeah, it was like Thursday-ish. And that game you pressed, I believe it was B to roll. And so I start this, and I start pressing B to roll, and I'm like, wait a second, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. And I'm not rolling. Well, it's a good thing you can figure, I can figure that out earlier. Well, I guess let's get the Crusher, too. Extra damage on a poison. That's interesting. Okay. Oh, it looks like it's hammer time. Okay, so what's the... Right, the Crusher is just a, ground damage target. We get a Nutcracker or a Nutcracker. It just feels kind of offensive. It's okay. But I like variety. Variety is the spice of life and whatnot. Oh, well. Oh, I forgot bear traps are a default thing. That's unfortunate. Okay, so let's just slowly get a bear trap. Actually, did that... Okay, that just says bear trap. Did bear traps have upgrade tiers previously? I don't know if they're phasing them out or something. To some degree, I'm actually really hoping that they do, because that'd be awesome. Why are we getting, like, non-stop food here? I don't know, but we don't want bear trap. Let's get stun grenade, at the very least. Okay, looks like we got... Is this level bigger? I don't know. Okay, probably HP. HP is kind of the go-to. Let's get Torch 2 over the Nutcracker. I like the Nutcracker a lot, but he's dead, and that's recent. Oh, neat. Oh, interesting. So I'll pick up the recipe for the broadsword. But we're probably gonna just leave it. We want to go through the sewers to get to the ossuary. I want to keep messing around with that dark zone. What's that? Just some money. Well, I guess I'll get it just because. I was messed up. Yeah, just a little. I want to find those, like, those crazy kick boots that we found last time. Those were awesome. It's kind of my main go-to. Oh, this is new. Read. Beware. Oh, yeah. Take that shortcut. Yeah, we want to leave that alone for a little while longer. Because, yeah, we go through the sewers first, then we go to the ossuary. Because they ramped up the difficulty on the ossuary, and I don't want to go to the dark zone until I'm good and prepared. That place is hard. Very hard. Seems like a pretty good setup. I kind of wish there was more, what am I thinking? I don't like the fact that there's the division between the skill and the strength, especially because you end up just being this, like, pigeonholed into hybrid anyway. And we kind of, over the last couple episodes, we totally discovered why the hybridization is kind of lame. Nutcracker, ossuary, nothing new. So let's just get out of here. But, like, I would absolutely love it if they'd switched it around... So that, like, there were skills for strength and and weapons for skill. Okay, so we want to put as many points into the Hayabusa boots as we possibly can. But, like, kind of dividing it and not making it so that, like, generally you wouldn't actually get a bunch of stat points for both, as a means of, like, kind of separating out the two playstyles, so you're not just, like, 5 in strength, 5 in skill. And it's like, why even have these as, like, separate options apart from just, like, to make the players, I guess, slowly scale? Question mark? I mean, I guess it makes sense from like a difficulty curve, but you could just as easily get rid of it and just flatten everything out. And I'd love to see them like modify it so that it's, you know, more interesting overall. I don't know, I'm back into like how can they adjust this how can they adjust this to make it better? And the answer is like it's already good. I'm kind of impressed at just how popular this game is. I mean, it definitely deserves it. It's gorgeous. It's got some really fun enemies to work around with. And just in general, it's a fairly high-quality product. Ow. I'm trying to think of, like, other games that, like, are really high-quality products that did really well despite, expectations, I guess would be the phrase. Well, I guess an easy one would be, freaking Stardew Valley. I think the developer of that wildly underestimated how popular that game was going to be. I think everybody kind of did. It was just something that came out and everybody was like, oh, this is neat. And then that just like snowballed until it was probably one of the most popular games of 2016. If not one of the most. Could be wrong. Is this the new patch after the elemental patch? Yes, it is. Added a bunch of new enemies in a specific area, bunch of new items. I love that about this. I just hope that there's some way that you can manage it eventually. Maybe? I mean, really, once they balance them all out, it won't matter at all. Because I find a lot of the new weapons are actually a fair bit better than some of the old ones. Or at least more interesting. Okay, I'm just gonna let that kill him. Wow, that actually does quite a lot of damage. Oh, but it's limited based on distance again. Of course. Playing Stardew Valley right now. Hey, good for you. Honestly, I really liked that game. The only problem is it was repetitive to the point where I was just like, I'll come back to this at a much later date when co-op comes out. And that has just kind of been the main reason why I haven't gone back to it. Super fun, though. Okay, so we can upgrade. I'm just going to keep pouring it into health. Extra damage when inflicting a crit. Fires an arrow in front of you. Extra health. And the rest of these are kind of useless. Just realized I got kunai, which are completely useless to me. Okay, and there's some strength. Swing. Swing fast. Sweet dagger. Oh! There's the Hayabusa boots. Do they... I think they've changed it now. I don't remember the daggers doing separate damage for their strikes. I could be wrong with that. So I'm gonna grab the Hayabusa boots too. I don't know if I'm gonna be using them that reliably. Oh, yes I am. Hayabusa boots are stunlock champions. They look cool too. Hopefully we can find some more. Because the biggest crime I have, the biggest gripe I have with like weapons in this game is just the fact that you find a really cool one and then you never get the replacement. You're just like, I would have liked something like that. Oh well. Not a big deal. It's just so quick. I hope someday somebody makes a Salt and Sanctuary style roguelike. I really like Salt and Sanctuary. It definitely had its like issues here and there, but it was generally just a satisfying product. It's definitely one of those games where I actually hope they make a sequel for it, just because it was like that solid. I'm trying to think of like other games that kind of fit the same bill. Oh, that thing lasts for a while. Okay. Salt and Sanctuary brain. I'm just trying to like cycle through topics, and I see like people talk about things, and I'm just like, I can talk about that. Because the last six episodes of this, I was just kind of ranting about like state of the games industry and stuff like that. I think I'm a little bit burnt out on that topic, just because God, that is a rabbit hole you never escape from. Let's talk about cool indie games. I'm being asked about RimWorld. I have played RimWorld in the past. It's a good game. I'm waiting for it to develop further. That's always kind of been true of damage on a stun target. Freeze nearby enemies. I don't know. Assassin's Dagger or Double Dagger? I don't know. Yeah, I really like RimWorld. The main problem is just I have so limited time, like such a limited time, that the idea of trying to fit like games into my schedule is half the time just like extremely risky. Sort of. The problem is if I like get too overloaded trying to do too many series, I end up just I can't actually like keep up with it. And it kind of remains brutal. So usually what happens with games that are like perpetually in early access, I usually just kind of leave them like that. Yeah, when's that Dwarf Fortress series coming out? I'm way more likely to do RimWorld than I am Dwarf Fortress. I like Dwarf Fortress probably more. I've just spent more time with Dwarf Fortress. But ultimately, just both are long and very much in development, and someday. But like even today was like a toss-up between like what games do I record. I ended up playing like a bunch of Anti-Hero to get that kind of out of the way. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna stick with these daggers. I use the Assassin's Dagger enough that I should probably try other things. But, you know, frequently when I'm, like, waking up for the day, I'm like, okay, so what do I need to record, and how am I gonna record it? And usually it's, like, not that big of a deal. But some days I just, like, wake up and I'm just, like, in a kind of panic. I, like, will be kind of, like, just frazzled for the rest of the day. Then it actually kind of screws up the, not the recordings, but, like, I end up having to, like, de-stress somehow, which ends up wasting more time. It's never a good system. Yeah, I'll have to get the time doors at a later date. Okay, so we want to go to the, prison depths. It is the prison depths. No. No. We can get to the ossuary from here. Awesome. So that's what we want to do. Yeah, the other problem is just, in general, as much as I like, older, kind of like in-dev games, there's a billion new ones coming out every single waking, like, hour. Specifically, today I've got, Goblins of Elderstone. I finally got access to the alpha, or is it the beta? I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked. But it's like a cool fantasy, like, settlement simulator. It looks fun. But it, goes back to the same persistent issue of just, like, how am I going to fit this in my schedule without, like, going crazy? The usual answer is multiplayer. Multiplayer is kind of like my easy solution to not going insane. If I don't do enough multiplayer, I like start losing it a little bit. Sometimes it's like hobby stuff too. I hate this thing so much. There we go. I feel like it does less damage, but I could be wrong. At least I've got some pretty good countermeasures. I'm gonna wait for him to turn around. Thank you. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I've got the Hayabusa boots. Hayabusa boots are much quicker. They don't get the crit, but they knock him back when he rolls at me. That's awesome. Ow, doesn't knock him back though. Well, we'll be okay. Let's see if I can stun that. Ow. This is just bad written all over it. We're just gonna go for... Oh, he was in there too. I didn't even notice him. There we go. Okay, that hurt. Let's heal. Okay. So what are my D&D plans once Grave of Man eventually ends? D&D, Grave of Man is not ending for quite some time. I I don't know how many of you guys watching this have specifically followed my my D&D campaign. If you haven't, I'd recommend it. It's actually, I don't know, it's cool. Shout out to me! Yay! But like, it's really fun making like my own D&D campaign and like making everything homebrew and stuff like that. But because it's like kind of completely homebrew, I'm more or less doing the I'm feature creeping a campaign as hard as I possibly can. I'm just like, what's all the cool stuff that I can like cram into this? And the answer is yes. Nothing specific, just yes. I don't actually know if the boots are good, but I like them. That AoE is great. If I could actually get some higher level Hayabusa, we'd be in a good spot. Speaking of D&D, just got Sword Coast Legends from Steam. Seems pretty cool. I heard Sword Coast Legends doesn't work, though. I grew up on Dungeons and Dragons. Like, full stop, that was like 90% of my childhood. My parents wouldn't let me buy video games, but they would let me buy D&D books. So I've got a library of like 40 some odd D&D books back at my parents' place. And that was how my brother and I entertained ourselves. We moved around a lot. Like, I've lived in 7 states now? 8 states now? Minnesota, New Mexico, California, New Mexico, Massachusetts, New York, and Kansas. Hey, Hayabusa boots. But so, we lived in quite a lot of states, and so as a result, I never really had a whole lot of friends. Because obviously just no time to make them. Yes? And I'm just gonna keep pumping HP. But so I spent most of my time with my brother, you know, playing D&D, because it was easy, reliable, and... I hate how these guys can stun lock you. Is it just me, or is this Hayabusa boot, like, even faster? Don't know. Feels like it. Really feels like it. Okay, let's switch it, so we're using X. There we go, let's get some skill. That's awesome. But yeah, so I would play D&D with my brother a lot. Generally it would be like 2-person campaigns or maybe 3. Sometimes we'd have like a friend available for us to play together. But the games that we were generally allowed to buy, like, you know, actual PC, computer, console, whatever, generally it was always the Dungeons and Dragons related stuff. So I spent an inordinate amount of time playing, I don't know if this is worth it. I'm gonna go with, no. Those shield guys can murder you. But, so I spent an inordinate amount of time playing Baldur's Gate. Someday maybe I'll do a Baldur's Gate series, but honestly, like, this series is kind of staled for me. CRPGs are kind of hard to work with. They're slow, and people don't like watching them nearly as much as I like playing them. Okay. But yeah, so I grew up with that kind of game. So, like, more recently, I guess really prior to Obsidian and... Is it both Obsidian? I guess Obsidian and Larian Studios doing their, Obsidian and Larian Studios starting to make really high-quality, CRPGs. I'm talking about, you know, Pillars of Eternity, Tyranny, and the Divinity Original Sin series. Those are amazing. But unfortunately, like, it took years for those to come out, because after Black Isle went down, there pretty much wasn't anybody else that would make them. Went bananas for the first XCOM, because it wasn't a CRPG, but at least it kind of came close to that feel. Okay, so we want to put some distance between us and this guy. There we go. But yeah, so growing up, you know, I played all these games, and then, you know, kind of going into my, like, teen years, they were gone. A whole genre just poof. It was so weird. And now that I'm doing professional YouTubing and these exist, I'm like, yes. Except for I can never finish them because they're so goddamn long. Like, as a kid, them being my only game, it was super easy to play, like, just tons of CRPGs and, you know, have no problems with it. But now that I'm older and have 8+ games to juggle on a given day, it's like, trying to fit a CRPG into this schedule is terrifying. Well, this is working out well-ish. Okay, these... Ow. You're a jerk. He, like, turned around last second there. So I had to, like, pump all of my... Eh! Nope! I missed. I missed again. Okay. That's an amazing Game Grumps animation. I don't generally talk about things that I watch, but that was an amazing animation. Okay. I really like the regen mechanic from this game. Yeah, they did a wonderful job with it. I mean, admittedly, it's just the... Ow, fuck. Oh, we almost died there. That's the last of my healing, because I haven't fully upgraded the potions yet. At least we get some more HP. But yeah, the regen mechanic of this game is really solid. I wish, I hope more developers get onto the, like, Bloodborne mechanic of, like, healing for damage. Is that actually unique to Bloodborne? Like, did they start that, or is there somebody else that had started the trend? I'm just happy that this thing has, like, an AoE to it, so taking out all those, like, little guys is actually really easy. Okay. Let's see, so we've got the Forgotten Sepulchre. Are we ready for that? I feel like I'm gonna get killed. Probably am. Happens. Okay, so what do we got all the way over here? I have no idea. But yeah, so back to my kind of rant about CRPGs and D&Ds and stuff. I absolutely loved the Baldur's Gate games, but I was kind of disappointed by most Dungeons & Dragons specific products for a while. I really liked Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, even though I kind of realized that it was a bit on the crummy side. At least it was enjoyable. You know, at least they tried to do something, and it was cool that you could actually carry over your save progress. Not a whole lot of games let you do that. And so that was, like, really enjoyable. But then they stopped with that, and then it just kind of became... I feel like Dungeons & Dragons games kind of have always been... wasted, more or less. Like, the developer will just hand out the license to anybody that's willing to make a D&D game. And... so you end up with a lot of stuff like Sword Coast Legends, which... is, like, could have been an amazing game. They had, like, all these really neat ideas, but since it's kind of more of a licensed tie-in product that's there specifically to, since it's a licensed tie-in product that's specifically there to get, like, as many fans of the product... Oh, I knocked him away with the AoE. Well, that's handy. You know, to get as many fans of the product in there, and buying it as possible. Half the time it just feels like they gave up and they're like, okay, we've got all the people interested, now let's just kind of rush out a product and then never support it again. So I think the issue with Sword Coast Legends, at least from what I could see on the Steam reviews, before I myself purchased it, and I guess didn't end up doing so, is you had to, like, log in to even be able to play, and I was just like, no, don't do that, that never works. That's a terrible idea. Why would you? And then, well, obviously they're not going to respond to me. It just always makes me kind of sad and pissy. Because, I don't know. I like I like the tabletop game, and honestly, like, you can't replace the experience of a proper, like, real game of D&D with an interesting DM and so on and so forth. I just wish developers would try harder. Even like an HD remake, like 1-for-1 of freaking Neverwinter Nights 1 would be nice. See, what time is it for me? It's midnight. It's late-ish. I don't know. Not that late. My problem is I wake up at noon, so, like, define late. Okay. Oh, the candle is, you have to purchase the candle now. Alright, for better or worse. We are just going to make the most of it without this candle. How many hours do I have in this game? I've got about 56 episodes out. I'd say about 30. Maybe more. 30 to 40. I've done some off-screen grinding. The last run. So yeah, I think 30 to 40 is somewhere in there. It does not rival my hours in Scrap Mechanic or Binding of Isaac. But it gets there. It would get there if I keep going. Ish. I should probably put some points into strength, but piling it all into HP has never failed me. Okay. Oh, there's one. I hate these things. The fact that they can see you from, like, whatever angle. Okay, so we've got a shop. No, a treasure chest. Okay, well, let's grab that. Okay, so we get a balanced blade. Do I want the balanced blade? What's the DPS? The DPS is higher, and it does come with some extra health. Let's go with that. I've got a ton of this. You have around 180. And I'm still further than you. Really? Ow. Ow. Maybe I should actually... yeah, I'll stick with the boots. I grabbed the balanced blade. 'Cause bonus. Okay, there we go. That got risky. We'll be okay. Oh, and we already checked out the shop, didn't we? Wish the shop would actually tell you what's available there. Okay, nothing there. I guess we just go back to the right here. I gotta watch my HP for it, as hard as possible. These guys are mean. Goal is to be meaner, I guess. Oh, there's the strength up that we're looking for. Okay. I don't know what's meaner. There we go. At least we don't have to worry about too much damage from the darkness. Like, it's only a small amount. I wonder if I'd actually, I wonder if being shielded actually prevents more damage from it. Don't know. Too late. Let's see, do I remember the game Wasted? Yes, I do. Wasted was a neat game that was totally squandered on a... I'm not going to say a bad developer. He seemed like a perfectly nice and interesting guy. And the game was interesting. But I was reading the patch notes for the latest Wasted. I guess I should probably explain this to people that didn't follow Wasted when it came out. It's a it's a roguelike shooter. Kind of Tower of Guns, was it Necropolis? No, Ziggurat. There we go. Tower of Guns, Ziggurat, Tower Gun, Ziggurat, so Immortal Redneck, I guess. I should probably play Immortal Redneck at some point. I've heard okay things about it. But this is hectic. There we go. There we go. We gotta go back down. There it is. Barely. Thank you, AoE, for making this easier. That freaking cultist right there is really annoying. Okay, but yeah, so the developer of Wasted specifically, I was reading, like, the patch notes in the latest patch, and he was talking about how he hasn't been updating the game because he's getting paid for, like, other projects that he's programming, and I'm like, wait, so you release a game on early access for Steam, and then you just kind of casually develop it. That's kind of mean.